beat that, but Jay would like to get this all-important strike coming up here.
Funny thing, Jay said he does a lot of things wrong. The one thing out here that we notice that he does right more so than anybody is keeps the ball in the pocket. That's what bowlers are made of.
This is an all-important one for Jay, and he does not get it.
Well, now Earl is just going to need a mark to win. The count doesn't even come into play whether Jay makes this or not. He will make it though.
And Jay Robinson goes after the spare, picks it up, finishes with a 195.
Earl has to mark though, Jim. I can't see him having any problem. The last 4 shots have been absolutely perfectly thrown into the pocket.
Jay had been averaging 220, finishes with 195. Here's Earl Anthony, 134, working on a double, looking for a turkey, and he has an 8-pin count.
Well, a little tricky spare here. Got the shooting a 3-5, and
well, he needs a spare, and then 4 pins to win it.
All he needs is a mark. There's the shot. Looks like he put his hands down in disgust. He knew he threw it wide. Gets an excellent break. The pin coming off the wall, knocking those 2 pins off.
So Earl Anthony's got a spare on the 10th frame. That gives him 182 spare, so he has a 192 shooting for this one. And as we said, 4 pins.
Yeah, I'd have to bet on Earl. He's going to. I'd take a chance on him.
You're looking around to see if there's any takers, and there aren't any.
Well.
Now here's
good night,
Earl Anthony. He leaves a sleeper, but it's good enough to win the match. He finishes with an even 200 and wins the match 200 to 195. He will face Paul Moser, another left-hander. So the lefties are still prevailing in Fresno, and we'll have that match on Total Sports ESPN coming up in just a moment.
Very interested spectator, Earl's fiancée, SUSIE Shelley. She just sits there nice and patiently, lets the man do his job.
Well, as long as he's winning, there's no use to refrain from being calm. You've approached it that way, right?
Well, as long as you're winning, yeah. I'm a little bit more excitable when I'm winning. Earl, I think, is just as excitable, but it's just inside.
Joe Hutchinson, by the way, we told you, is one of the top 6 money winners this year. He's also the 18th in average, averaging 212 for the year. Haven't seen you on the tube lately, though, Joe, as a bowler.
Crushes me.
Here we go. Paul Moser, opening hit, and he's got a strike. Paul from Somerset, Massachusetts, another lefty, got a 300 game against Earl Anthony, picked up 130 pins, and he's a guy they say has a never-give-up attitude. That's the word on him.
You better believe it in anything. He plays hockey, plays everything. Killer.
Earl Anthony, and again, bothered with that 7-pin.
That's the flat 7, the weak 7. Earl's ball just doesn't have that good, strong finish at the end. If he's there, he'll leave that pin all day almost.
He left the 7 in the opening frame of the first match. Then he was bothered more with the 10 in the middle of the counter. And there's a spare for Earl Anthony.
Yeah, but not the way Earl normally makes spares. He's having problems with his hand. His hand and his backswing, he doesn't have the proper control of it. Some balls he's coming through, he's turning the ball early, causing him to get the ball in. Other balls he's not turning soon enough.
Earl's match play record was 14-10. He was 6-2 after the 4th round, went up to 10-6 and 14-10. So he has maintained that 4 over 500, as it were, throughout the week in the match play. And Earl Anthony with a bucket.
Same problem. Earl Anthony, as smooth as you can be. Just the ball comes off his hand. There's just not enough on the ball to bring it back. Watch, it just makes the turn a little bit too late. Leaves the bucket.
And he leaves another pin.
Very uncharacteristic of Earl to miss spares. It's just hard to believe that a person could say he's bowling bad and yet make a television show, but this is it right here.
Well, Earl had an even 200 in the first match, winning over Jay Robinson by 5 pins, and he has 25 open now through the 2nd frame. Paul Moser, who's really been bowling well this week. He had a high 3-game series and the high 8-game block this week also. And in there, and he leaves the 7-pin.
Same shot as Earl, a weak 7. Of course, Paul doesn't hook the ball that much, so his ball doesn't go into that real powerful finishing roll at the end, a la Steve Cook, who we'll see later on. That is the hit that Steve would like to have all day right there.
See his average on the TV pair. These two bowlers matched up against each other previously twice this week, and each has won one. We'll report on that in just a moment as he tries to spare the 7-pin. Picks it up easily. So Paul Moser's got 20 spare. Earl Anthony's open with 25 in the second frame. Now, these two guys met twice previously. Paul Moser defeated Earl Anthony, as we told you, 300 to 211, and then lost to Earl. The loss was prior to the 300 match, 227-258. So a 31-pin difference there.
What they don't know is that Paul Moser last night in the position round had to get 3 strikes and a 10 to stay ahead of Earl Anthony by 1 pin, and did just that.
There's Paul Moser up on the left side, puts the ball out, and there is an unusual lead.
And there's his wife, Debbie, suffering with every shot, everyone that's bad, and enjoying every shot that's good. Debbie is a very good bowler in her own right, and Paul's coach.
So Paul leaves the 3-7.
Paul said to me earlier that the lanes are tighter today than they've been all week. And these leaves, the way the ball isn't finishing, is characteristic of the lanes being considerably tighter.
And he puts it up. Paul Moser with the 3-7, and he's got to be happy about that.
I'd have to say he's happy, but I'm looking over Earl's shoulder, and Debbie Moser is very happy.
And he's got to pick up some momentum on that.
Well, that was a chance for Earl to get back into the match, and Paul just kept the pressure on him.
Well, Earl takes a couple of strikes now. And he does not get this one. And Earl just can't find the groove for the strikes. He got strikes in the second and the third frame in the first match, and then in the 8th and the 9th, and only 4 strikes now in 13 frames is not much for the great Earl Anthony.
Well, he is pulling all stops. He just switched bowling balls. He went to another ball there that he was using earlier in the practice session. Matter of fact, that was the ball he's using to shoot the spares.
Well, there's a spare. Earl Anthony and Paul Moser. Paul with a 13-pin advantage at this point. And I had a chance to visit with Earl. Told him with all his credentials and successes, does he have trouble getting motivated anymore?
Yeah, it seems like more and more that I can get away from it, the better off I am. Completely get away from the game, don't practice, just stay away completely, and then I come out and I make a TV show. Once I get into the tournament, it's hard for me to stay motivated and even want to play.
Earl Anthony crosses over on the left side. He's got a strike back in the match, and we will be back to take a look at Paul Moser in the 4th and 5th after this message. Basketball night from Philadelphia on ESPN. Our cameras will be there at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time for the Baker League, a round ball treat, Monday, 9:30 on Total Sports ESPN. And don't forget, we'll have a look at the Southern California League, Rucker Tournament, and the Baker League this summer, July and August on ESPN. So here's Paul Moser, 4th frame, a strike, and he'll be able to maintain his 13-pin advantage. If he does not, Earl Anthony is right back in this.
Again, the weak 7. Earl has switched balls and went to a ball that goes straighter. I think he's moved his feet to the left, and he's going to try to go at him a little bit more and not play as much hook.
Paul Moser is playing with a new ball. He had one drilled especially for the finals, and he has bowled better with it, he said, than the previous one. But he has left 3 consecutive 7s, one with a 3 in there, and he's picked them all up. So he has 57 now, working on a spare through 4 frames, and Earl Anthony is 45 strike, also through 4.
Paul may have drilled a new ball earlier in the week, but right now he is using the ball which he has used on television the last 3 times. He's all reliable. He has a considerable amount of confidence in this ball.
Well, he had a couple of spares and all reliable, and the 3-7 was picked up back in the 3rd frame. Now he goes in the 5th, trying to regain that strike for him as he marked in the opening frame, puts it up into the pocket, and that got the kick off of the 7, and Paul Moser's got a strike in frame number 5.
Excellent shot by the big guy. Paul Moser, small, low to the line, great arm swing. Ball goes into the pocket, not much hook. That time he got the nice slap on the 4-pin into the 7.
There's Earl Anthony in the 5th frame, working on his strike, trying to get 2 in a row. No, sir, and Earl just can't find it.
Well, he was a little light last time, Jim, when he changed balls on this lane. So that time he made the obvious correction, and he overcorrected. Maybe next time he should be just right.
He didn't waste a lot of time either. He goes for those spares and picks that ball up and puts it down. Earl Anthony with a spare in the 5th frame.
Yeah, he knows his job.
By the way, in general, how have the lane conditions been for the week?
Well, they've been, I'd say, fair on both sides. There is a larger amount of left-handers in this week than other weeks because both sides were equal, and there wasn't as much play on the left as there is on the right. The lanes were pretty tight, yes. Here is a shot that's so uncharacteristic of Earl Anthony, it's unbelievable. Earl is lost, he's fishing, he's moved over, crossover hit. Take a picture of that because that doesn't happen that often, believe me.
Though that's 2 strikes out of the last 3 frames for Earl Anthony. Still has that open back in the 2nd. Paul Moser is marked all the way through, including getting that 3-7 in the 3rd. He's up in the 6th now, shooting for a double. The left-hander puts it out, puts it in. He's got the strike in the 6th frame, and Paul Moser has 2 in a row.
Gutty little guy, this Paul. He's great. He's a great player.
He's 5'4", about 150, very durable.
Yeah.
And they said he had the high 3-game series this week, a 787, the high 8-game block, 1905. And a 300 game to boot.
Against Earl Anthony to boot.
That's true. 22 pin advantage at this moment, shooting for a turkey. He's up on the left side in the 7th frame. Puts it in. Beautiful action, and Paul Moser's got 3 strikes in a row after 3 spares. Earl Anthony comes up in the 7th, and he finds himself trailing by 22 pins, and we'll be back after this message. ESPN, but the sport is racquetball. The date, Thursday, July 17th, the time 8 p.m. Eastern. An interesting and fast-paced show with a lot of action. I know, Joe, that you're a racquetball player, and you will be watching if you can get near a television set or if you're not bowling that particular night. Next Thursday at 8 on Total Sports ESPN, a Kent Samuel production. Our director on the bowling shows also did that one. And Kent plays, not very well, but he does play.
That makes 2 of us.
There's Earl Anthony in the 7th frame, needs a strike, got it. So Earl with 2 in a row now. Trailing by 22, so that one's been a big one for him. Earl Anthony has 85, working on 2 strikes. And Paul Moser, 107 on a double. You can see 3 strikes in a row actually for him. Earl with 2 after the spare in the 5th frame. So
that was an absolute must strike for Earl. If he didn't get that, he was in big trouble. He's got to get this one,
This
too.
one's a big one, too. Earl Anthony cranks it home, and he has the strike.
It's amazing as to why he switched balls last frame and went to that red ball, and when he threw a strike the frame before with the blue one.
So Earl with 3 now, and Paul Moser comes up, and he is shooting for 4.
It appears that Earl is pretty well lined in now with that harder ball.
Paul Moser did not win a title in '79. He finished 2nd, though, in 3 different tournaments. And won only $13,000, and he is in trouble.
Bad break, Jim. Threw the ball excellent. That is a spare that's left up because the ball just finished the hair too strong. That's when you get penalized for throwing too good, the 6-8. It's the right-hander's 4-9.
Well, he picked up the 3-7 back in the 3rd, and this is comparable.
Yeah, it's a little tougher shot.
That
little different angle.
6-pin is kind of in the way there.
I saw him make it earlier this week, though.
And he slid it in front of the pin. In front of the pin, mind you, and Paul Moser does not get it, but what a valiant effort by him. And I talked with Paul Moser, asked him about the lane conditions, especially about the left-handed situation and the oil on the lanes.
Well, the lanes this week have a little more oil on them, and I like oil. I like to throw the ball so it doesn't hook too much. And the past few weeks they haven't been that much oil in the lane, so this week has been a little advantage for me, I think.
Big strike, crosses over, and the 5-pin is up.
I think he was a little bit, little mental lapse there after the last shot. You know, when a guy like that shoots at the 6-8, now there's Paul's bull in 20 years at least, right? And he overcut that spare. You think after all the years of experience, he'd have hit it right. You know what I mean?
He talked about the oil in the lanes. Kind of ducked the left-handed question, though.
Well, he's a gentleman.
And here's the spare attempt. And Paul Moser picks it up in the 9th frame. So Earl Anthony now comes up. He will be the first to conclude the match. He was down by 22 pins, almost 30 pins at one time. He has come back to strike 3 times in a row now and is right in this match.
There's nothing that Paul Moser can do. He can just sit there on the seat and lose it. Earl holds the match in his hands.
Here's the foundation frame and a perfect pocket hit from the left side by Earl Anthony.
Earlier before we saw Earl get a crossover strike. Now this is a clutch shot, a pressure situation, and look how he throws it. Absolutely perfect. And that's why you win 31 times. Jim, if Earl gets 9 spare strike, he is the winner of this game. He will go on to ball marker out.
First ball, 10th frame, no.
Good break. Ball hitting a little weak, almost leaving the 7-9, but a spare here and a strike on the fill ball would give him 214. The most Paul Moser could bowl is 213 if he was to strike out in the 10th. So Earl knows this. He's going to take a little more time. He just isn't going to walk up and throw this ball. Excellent possibilities of a tie, Jim. If he should get 9 pins and Paul Moser strikes out, we have a tie. There's all kind of possibilities.
We will await that possibility. Earl can negate that all if he strikes here.
Yes, Earl has he can negate a lot of things right here.
And waiting in the wings to bowl is Mark Roth.
Nice confrontation, Earl and Mark.
Here's Earl Anthony, a strike, and this match is his, and he's got the 9 pins, and now Paul Moser can tie it, force a roll off if he strikes out.
Last night, Paul Moser needed 3 strikes in the 10th frame of the position round to stay a pin ahead of Earl Anthony. Now he needs 3 strikes to tie. Well, if he
gets 3 strikes, he ties.
If these 2 bowlers should tie, there'll be a 2-frame roll-off, 9th and 10th frame. And the most that either bowler could score is 60 pins.
Okay. He must strike out. Anything less, it's over. Paul Moser, 1/300 game to his credit. He rolls, he puts it in, strike 1.
Excellent shot. Excellent ball. Rip the pins apart. Last time on the lane, Paul was a little bit high, leaving the 6-8. This time here, he trusts the ball out to the left like a great player that he is, and just shatters the pins apart. Great ball.
This is one of the great tournaments on the summer tour. They've been coming here for a lot of years. Last year they had the high scores. This time they have tremendous matches. Paul Moser. Crowd behind him. He puts it in. Strike 2.
Another pressure shot by Paul. Great. He's going to trust it. He's not going to get it in. He's given it a chance, and he's running it out the minute he lets it go. Great kick on the 4-pin. And then a 7. Great shot.
He got a 171 in round 6 midway. Finished out last night 212, 203.